Hello, folks. Welcome to the Xander Gibb Show. We are just sharing the feed and waiting for the news to finish on the channel that it goes out on. But feel free to come in to the chat room and we will be getting started any minute now. I see where we are. I am just clicking that share button. You can do that too. And you know what I'm going to say next. When I say share, I mean share the darn show, not share as in, whoa, do you believe in love after love? Oh, yes, sorry. We're just sharing very quickly. Welcome to those that are coming into the chat. I will say hello to every single one of you individually, unless you happen to be a Democrat or have the coronavirus. I'm joking. I'm not allowed to joke about the coronavirus, apparently, because there are certain subjects that you're not supposed to joke about, and apparently the coronavirus is one of them. And I think when you're a comedian, nothing should be off the table, or should that be under the table? I'm never sure. So I'm still can't even talk. I am still clicking the share button. Thank you for all of those of you who messaged me last week with your good wishes. It's nice to know somebody loves me. I don't know why I keep bursting into song. I've been doing it all day. But yes, we're nearly there with the shares. Don't forget, you can click the share button too, so that we can get as many people into the live feed as possible and get the show out there. Just making sure I don't share in groups that I'm not supposed to sharing, because we get like a lot of hassle for doing that. Yes, we can share in Conservative Patriots. Every week after the show, I make sure that the show has actually been cleared in all of the groups. There we go. And when I do that, if I find out that the show is not shared in a group, then I leave that group. So let me just share the feed to the page. Where is it? I was just about to share last week's show, or should that even be the week before's show? I've got a lot of great stuff coming up for you tonight on the Xander Gibb Show. And got some very special guests coming on. Not that all of my guests aren't special, because they really are. And I don't mean special as in short bus sense special. There we are, just sharing the feed. We are getting there to the point where we can start. And the Lord said, "Let there be light." I always forget to turn on the lights in the studio, the ones that are supposed to make me look intelligent and youthful and beautiful. Shut up out there, those of you that are saying, "Yeah, it's not working, Zanny." Here we go. Let's come to the live feed. We are there. Let me get ready to click the volume down button. There we go, because otherwise you hear two of me, and for some of you, hearing one is enough. Oh yes, Suri. I just have one more thing to share, and then we can get started. Going to share the YouTube link, because a lot of you like to watch me on the TV. I like to watch me on the TV too. Not too many close-ups though, got a few wrinkles going on there. Because I am 35 now. I am, honestly. God, you guys are so mean. I you just really have one more. Shut up, Xander. See, Xander Gibb is my bro, my buddy, and the reason he's my bro and my buddy is because he is me. One more place to share, and then we will be ready to get started. I haven't said "oh yes, siree" once. I get told off for saying it too many times, and then when I don't say it, people say, "Oh, you didn't say 'oh yes, siree' 50 times today." Well, I don't usually say it 50 times, but I do say it an awful lot. It's a great little filler. Okay, let's come to the live feed. Let's go backwards. Hello to Gloria. Welcome to the show. I hope New York is good. Hello to Dave. Welcome to the show. Hello to my Gina. Hello to Maria. Hey to CV. Welcome. Hello to who else have we got in there? Hello to everyone else that is watching or listening, but not in the live feed. Come and join us. There's some always some great chat and debate going in there. We will be taking your calls very soon. We always have time for at least one or two calls. Let me switch on the Skype so that we are ready to welcome you to the Xander Gibb Show, the talk show that really does get you talking on the Xandermonium Network, live from an undisclosed location. And no, it's not my mother's basement. Bringing you the best in Patreon broadcasting. I'm Xander Gibb, because who else would I be? And on today's show, I get on my soapbox and give you the chance to get on yours too in our phone in. Joe Messina from the Real Side, my Friday night home, joins us to break down this week's hottest topics. And in part two, Dr. Gerard Lameiro joins us to talk about the Democrat nominees. Oh, yes, siree. You can have your might have understood that if I was Japanese. You can have your say in the feed below, and I will share that as we go along, as we usually do. And you can call in when we get to that point, 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. If you are in the US or if you're in the UK, you can Skype me at Xander Gibb. Be nice or be gone. You can catch me later on the Real Side with Joe Messina, 7 Pacific, and you can follow me on social media. Check me out at xandergibb.com. So welcome back, folks. It's great to be back. Tales of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. I was off last week due to back issues and not the coronavirus as reported by some of you out there and the tabloids. Now, I don't even drink Corona. It seems like every 4 years a new virus hoax is spread, no pun intended. In 2002, it was the Nile virus. 2004, the Zika virus. 2005, bird flu. 2009, swine flu. 2014, Ebola. 2016, Zika. And in 2020, the coronavirus. It kind of seems to always come when there is an election. Anyone would think the Democrats didn't have any policies or anything to actually sell or even give away to the American public, because they already gave it away to illegal immigrants. Now, the media exaggerated all these catastrophes for their own agenda, and they want Americans to live in fear while they are demonizing our POTUS and giving Democrats something else to attack him for, but it's not working, thankfully. And you can't fix stupid, and they will believe anything. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't be careful, but how many people actually died from the previous exaggerated outbreaks? And a lot of those who did had underlying conditions. Stockpile all you will, and we will see how this one turns out. What do you think? Tell me in the live feed. Is the coronavirus as big an issue as it's being made out to be? Let us know what you think. We've got time to take a couple of calls before our guests join us. 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. Sorry if you're getting skipping. I don't know why it is. We are connected via it's a cable connection, not Wi-Fi. So I don't know why that is. Apologies. Well, apparently everyone says it's skipping. Maybe it is Facebook interfering for a change. I'm really sorry, folks. I don't know what else to suggest. Hello to Chet, who's just joined us. He said he's going to restart his computer. We're going to take calls now. 845-363-4747. You can tell us what you think about the coronavirus. You can tell us what you think about the Democrats saying that the president said the coronavirus was a hoax, when what he actually said was that the response by the Democrats was a hoax. They take everything he says and twist it, which I find rather concerning. But let's face it, in an election cycle where they have nothing to offer us, they have to do something. Oh yes, they do. So who's going to be our first caller tonight? 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. Give us a call. Tell us what you think. We're going to be discussing a lot today with our guests, Jim Messina and Dr. Gerard Lameiro, who is kind of like, apparently I'm live on YouTube. Who knew? He's going to be talking to us a little bit about his predictions for the election and for who the nominee is actually going to be. I see. I'm watching now. It looks like it is skipping a little too. 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. If you're calling from the United States, if you're calling from the UK, we have a caller. Thank you for calling the Chet Martin Fan Club. How may we direct your call?
Danny G.
Yo, how you going, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. So, what do you think to all this coronavirus stuff? Am I wrong to be joking about it, or should I be stockpiling water and pasta and rice and all that kind of shizzle?
No, I just think that people, they like to bring on the hysterics when there's nothing to really bring on.
Right.
And, the Democrats obviously were using it as a political weapon right from the gate. And that's what Donald Trump was talking about. If you go back and watch when President Trump made his first response about the coronavirus, what he said is people need to calm down and relax a little. And what he meant was, don't fly off the handle, because that's what the media and the Democrats want you to do. They want hysterics because the president is Donald Trump.
Right.
And they're trying to make it look like he is unsympathetic towards the families that are actually being affected by the coronavirus. And we know that thousands and thousands of people die from the flu every year.
Yep. But how many, what the media is not reporting is it wasn't until 1,000 deaths that Barack Obama put stuff into place for, what was it, SARS or whatever it was, while he was, so it's kind of never eggs versus eggs or cheese versus cheese with regards to Donald Trump and Barack Obama. Anything that Donald Trump does is bad, because the orange man is bad. And isn't it getting a bit tiring? Let's face it, it's boring now.
Well, it's gotten tiring, and it hasn't worked, and I think that's what's most frustrating for them. And what's most frustrating for us is the constant pushback against a president that's done a fantastic job.
Right.
I mean, we helped elect him, and we like the job that he's doing. But those results are all going to come back in November of 2020 when he's reelected.
Yeah.
Not that we should sit on our hands. We should get out there and get everybody out there to vote.
Absolutely. And if you're not...
we...
Go on. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, they could put up Joe Biden, a ham sandwich, or you take your pick.
Yeah.
They're not beating Donald Trump, but we do need to get to the voting polls to push it back for a re-election
for sure.
President Trump.
And if you're not registered to vote, get your butt out there next week and be sure to register to vote, because if you ain't registered, you can't vote, no matter what the Democrats will tell you. Who's on your show this weekend, Chet? What can we expect from Freedom on Deck on Sundays, 3 till 5 Eastern?
We got one of our regulars, Xander Gibb, coming on the program.
Oh, he's good.
We're going to be talking about all things to do with the coronavirus and probably a little bit on Joe Biden and how they've continued to try to sabotage Bernie Sanders. And then we're also having Alex Newman from the New American Magazine. He comes on with us often. And we're going to be talking about a lot of the curriculum that's going on in the public schools. Some really disturbing stuff out there, and you got to pull your kids out of the public schools in America. It is disgusting what the UN is pushing on the curriculum in our public schools, and it's wrong.
Absolutely. And as a parent, do you feel that this is the way that you're going to go? Are you gonna try homeschooling?
Well, right now, it's something that I have been discussing with their mother.
Right.
It's not just my decision because we're not together. They actually do go to a pretty good school, and there are still good teachers.
There
There
are.
are still good public schools. The problem is the curriculum's being written by the outsiders, and that's the real issue here. So I think eventually we will, yes.
Absolutely. I don't blame you. I think Common Core is killing teaching. And so many of my friends in America who are teachers are saying that Common Core has made their job far too, a lot
And they're
harder.
totally sexualizing the children, Xander.
Yeah.
Totally sexualizing these kids.
For sure, for sure. And I think that, I personally am not a parent, but I do feel the point where children should be taught about sex is when their parents decide to tell them, not at 5 and 6
Yeah,
years old.
and when they can comprehend it.
Yeah.
When they actually can comprehend how they have feelings towards sexuality, and it's not when you're 5.
No.
And there's a reason they're doing that.
Yeah.
There is. And the disturbing part is there's not enough pushback. There needs to be more.
Well, it's easier. It's easier to kind of encroach on a child if you've put these things in their head, and I guess that is their ideology, and it's absolutely scary. I mean, in California, the Democrats have put stuff through to protect pedophiles, and this is the way it's going. And folks, we need to stand up to this. We got to leave it there. I look forward to speaking to you on Sunday. Have a great weekend, Chet, and thank you so much for calling.
Looking forward to it, Xander.
Me
Take
too,
care.
brother. Thanks a lot. That was the fabulous Chet Martin. He is the anchor of Freedom on Deck, which goes out Sundays 3 till 5 Eastern, and I'll be sharing the stuff on Sunday. But you can check out their page, Freedom on Deck, and the Freedom on Deck fan club. So my first guest tonight, he is kind of my boss, I suppose, on Friday nights, and you'll be able to catch me later on his show. And I do his show every week, and he's such a busy guy, but he is going to join us today on my show for a change. I am, of course, talking about Joe Messina. Oh, yes, Siri. They're talking about Michael Savage in the chat room. I don't know where that comes from. I hope I'm not being likened to Michael Savage because I'm much younger and prettier than Michael Savage, and you remember that out there. I am, of course, joking. So I'm just waiting for Joe to call us. He's going to call us any moment, and he lives in the state of California. So I'm sure he can tell us a little bit about what's going on there. Oh, yes, Cherie. As I said, be sure to check out Freedom on Deck this Sunday. You say you can't talk today. I don't know why. Please be sure to check out Freedom on Deck this Sunday, and not just because they have the fabulous Xander Gibb on there. I've heard he's very good, but, I am a little biased. What else did I want to tell you? I got weighed again this week, and I've lost another 10 pounds. And it's really going well. This is the first time I've been on a diet as such. I'm on the keto diet where I've not felt hungry and I've not felt, my God, I need chocolate. In fact, you are actually allowed chocolate on the keto diet. You are allowed to have chocolate that's like 80% cacao. And I am not that keen on it, which is kind of interesting. Interesting when you think about it. I'm just making sure that Joe has the right number. Um, and I'm just going to re-give it to him now. There we go. So Joe should be calling us any second. I gave him the wrong number. I gave him too many digits. I guess that I must have been just drunk on love, knowing that I would be hosting the show again tonight. Joe's just starting Skype because Skype is very problematic tonight. While we're waiting for him to do that, I'm going to come back to the live feed. CV says Savage is hysterical about the GCOM virus. I don't know what that means. Here we go. This should be my first guest, the one, the only, the fabulous Mr. Joe Messina. Welcome back to the show, Joe. How is the world with you, sir?
I am almost wonderful, I guess.
Almost.
I got my air conditioning's working, so I'm good.
Oh, God. I can't even switch on the air conditioning while I'm doing my show. Not that I have it. I can't even switch the fan on because this microphone picks up everything, even when my tummy rumbles. So welcome back to the show. How is the world with you? And how is California?
California's wonderful. Inside joke. You'll have to listen to my show later on to figure it out. But I did light my bathing suit on fire today, but that's beside the point. We'll talk about that later.
I wouldn't know what you're referring to. Yeah. I really wouldn't. So the state that you live in, go ahead.
Well, we just went through our elections here, somewhat rigged. Even though most of the stuff came out the way it was supposed to, they had so many of those electronic Soros machines die and go haywire and all that other fun stuff. People were waiting in lines an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Wow.
Xander, it was hilarious. It was like, we're going to make this better and easier and faster for everybody. They gave them 11 days prior to voting day to vote, and there were still 2-hour lines. Help me understand this.
Wow. I don't know that I can help you understand that, but I don't trust voting machines because it's been proved that they're riggable. And the only way to kind of try and combat that is to have paper ballots. I mean, I know that paper ballots have been changed before, and then they get spoiled, but you've got far less chance of dishonesty with a paper ballot than you do with a George Soros paid for voting machine. I mean, maybe the fact that they didn't work before didn't work in Hillary's favor last time.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, they again, you got to go back to the fact. I agree with you. Go back to paper ballots. Can we just go back to the way it used to be? I know I sound like an old guy, but it is harder to cheat that way. Not impossible. Heck of a lot harder.
Absolutely. And I know that where you live, the state you live in is a sanctuary city, and a federal appeals court on Wednesday handed a major victory to the Trump administration in its fight against sanctuary jurisdictions, ruling that it can deny grant money to states that refuse to cooperate with federal immigration authorities. Now, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in New York overturned a lower court ruling that stopped the administration's 2017 move to withhold grant money from the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program, which dispenses over $250 million a year to state and local criminal justice efforts. Now, what do you make of this? Isn't this a forward step, really, in stamping out illegal immigration and sanctuary cities that are actually rubber stamping illegal immigration?
Well, your old friend De Blasio, right? What do you call him, De Blizzardo?
De Blizzardio.
He is up in arms about this because it's going to affect his city big time. They don't adhere to any of the rules. Look, I'm on a school board in California. As you know, I'm a trustee on the school board, Board of Education, as some people refer to it as. And we get state grants, not even federal grants. We get state grants. And state grants say, you can have this $100,000 or this $1 million, but you have to adhere to these, 5 or 8 or 10 rules,
right.
Okay? And if you don't adhere to those 8 or 10 rules, any one of them, you blow any one of them, you have to give the money back. You can't have the money to begin with if one of your policies goes against one of ours. Now, those same hypocrites are looking at the federal government and saying, oh, no, we don't have to follow your rules. You gave us grant money. We got it. Too bad. Deal with it. And it's amazing how that works. But that will affect tremendously some of these sanctuary cities because they use the money. They use the grants that they get from the city, those block grants or what have you, they get from the federal government to actually help those in areas where it's very heavy, very high illegal immigrant populations.
Right.
They're using money to help illegals get into colleges, that kind of stuff. And it shouldn't be. My granddaughter should have a better chance at going to a college for free in California than an illegal should.
I agree with you 200%. And I think the concern is for me, and this might sound like a silly question, but what about American citizens? When did they stop coming first with regards to funding and assistance and whatever else?
No, it started under Obama, right? We have to suffer for the colonialization of the rest of the planet.
Right.
Us white folks that have been here forever, we now have to suffer like the blacks and Hispanics and whoever did. It's amazing to me. Take the color away from it. Take the gender away from it. And the simple rules would be, if you follow the rules here, if you're an American citizen, no matter, what sexual orientation, what height, what weight, what color, and you follow the rules, you should be able to move through the system properly, and the rules should apply to everybody equally. Why do you think American citizens or what made them think that by giving illegals a leg up, it was going to make American citizens going to sit back and take it? And I think it's because we have for so long, don't you? I mean, you lived in New York for a while. Remember when we went down there?
Yeah, absolutely. In the states of New York and Connecticut, which are both sanctuary states, never mind just having a sanctuary city, that the whole state of both of those are sanctuary states. They're giving ID to illegals. They can get driving licenses, and they're even trying to push forward ways for them to get their medical paid for, and for them to be able to vote, and these kind of things. But I keep coming back to the same thing. What about American citizens? The Democrats seem to have forgotten about Americans.
Listen, I'm not so sure, and except for the days of Kennedy, I'll give you that. I'm not so sure they ever really cared about us. And I mean that sincerely. When you really think about it, over the years, go all the way back to LBJ, right? He was looking for a way to keep Democrats in power. And what did he say? He talked about giving the vote to the blacks, for equal access to black people, and we would have those blankety blanks voting for us for the next 800 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't to make life better for Americans as a whole. Think about it. That law was passed to make sure that blacks would be voting for Democrats. Period.
Right.
And now they've lost. Funny you should talk about. I talked about this with somebody else about an hour ago. If you think about it, they're losing the black population. They're losing the LGBTQ population. Who's left? The illegals. That's all they got left.
But I think you've hit a point there, Joe, that it is really about votes, because it's not about anything else, is it? They've lost so much support. People are leaving the plantation. The gays, the blacks, they're done, because what have they actually done for either of those minority groups? I don't want to turn this into, identity politics, but from that perspective, what have they done for those groups?
For the black and the gay community?
Yeah.
Nothing. Absolutely. If you think about it, absolutely nothing. Look, when you think that for decades, under mostly Democratic rule, or Democrat, I don't want to say Democratic rule, the black unemployment has been up and through the roof. Black businesses don't get the same, usually don't get the same equal treatment at banks and financial institutions. For years, they were redlined in the areas where black people were buying homes, specifically targeted, if you would, especially with credit card companies. Now you have people like, and George W. didn't do a great job at it, but Donald Trump has stepped in. You've got among the lowest unemployment rate for the black community, and not just the black community, but black teenagers.
Right.
I
don't care what color you are.
You're sitting at the table, and your son or daughter now has a job.
Yeah.
Your son or your daughter now knows what it's like to work and have to pay taxes and have to show up for a job. That warms the heart of any parent, black, white, yellow, brown, whatever colors they use these days, of any parent at all.
Right.
And but Trump didn't do it for color reasons. Do you agree? He did it because he loves his country.
Absolutely. But I was just going to be facetious and say that darn racist Donald Trump. I mean, if the president was that racist, would he be doing things to enable the black community to better themselves?
Yeah, of course not. He'd be, even behind the scenes, you'd be able to pick out what he was putting down to get in the way of those people. Look at and what is it? Two things I think are hilarious. He's homophobic. He's so homophobic that he has more gays and lesbians working in the White House as ambassador than any president before him. He has a point, and remember, he hates women too, right? Treats women like crap. Hates women. He has more women that haven't been sexually assaulted in the White House than any other president before him.
Exactly.
Right.
And have you ever heard of gays for Warren or gays for Pelosi or even gays for Hillary? Who'd have thought there would be a whole movement among the gay community called Gays for Trump? You're talking to a gay for Trump. So
you're gay? How come
I just outed myself on my own show. You didn't know that, did you?
Listen, I just came back from CPAC, which is the largest, not one of,
right.
It's the largest, conservative action pack that there is, and it happens every year in D.C. So I go to D.C. and I was kind of joking about it a little bit this year, and I said, they say that women hate Trump, that blacks hate Trump, that gays and lesbians hate Trump, and I'm walking around, and I go downstairs to the exhibition hall. There's transgenders for Trump, there's gays for Trump, there's lesbians for Trump, there's gays for guns, there's blacks for Trump. I'm going,
wow.
And I'm looking, and 60 to 70% of the attendees are either black, gay, lesbian, Asian. I mean, the white population, true old-fashioned white Anglo-Saxon population was 30 to 40% there.
Right.
But you'll never see the news put that out, will you?
No, because they were token, Joe. That's what it is.
Yeah, we paid the there you go. Just like Soros. We used this
yes,
to get them the show.
Absolutely. And that makes you my token heterosexual. Well, I can't say that because Dr. Lameiro is a token heterosexual too. Now I want to switch tack. I want to talk a little bit about Pocahontas. Basically, she retreated today to her teepee. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she is encouraged by the ideological debates within the Democratic Party, now represented by Senator Bernie Sanders and former Vice President Joe Biden, but lamented on not having a female candidate in the general election. Pelosi said during a Thursday press conference that there were great candidates, specifically touting Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar. I don't know how you pronounce her name. Klobuchar, but hypothesized as to when they came up short. I don't think that, I'm not going to do my impersonation. I do think there is a certain element of misogyny that is there, and some of it isn't really mean-spirited. It just isn't in their experience. So the reason why, what's her name? Lizzie Warren has retreated to her teepee is because of misogyny. Was it not because nobody wanted her to be president because she's mean?
She's terrible. And, listen, they're terrible candidates. They lost an Asian guy. Why? Because he's a terrible candidate. Remember, this was the guy, his biggest moment was in New Hampshire with whipped cream cans while people were bowing in front of him, and he was shooting whipped cream into their mouths. What is presidential about? What's that message? You know what I'm saying? And then he lost. Couldn't figure out why. The black guy lost. He was terrible, right? He couldn't even spell Spartacus, but he wanted to be Spartacus. And then you had what's her name? I'm going to be nice on your show, so I won't call her names. But Kamala Harris, another woman, again, has no real claim to fame. Was a terrible AG in California. So they had all these Amy Klobuchar constantly sound like she was
Klobuchar. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And Elizabeth Warren, the last speech that she gave, it sounded like a high school girl that had been jilted. Okay? Like, why won't you go to the prom with me? That's what she sounded like. Like, you know, you should be voting for me. I'm the one that's going to fight for you. I'm the one that's there. I'm a woman, and I'm going to fight. I'm going, stop. Just stop. You're going to force me to vote for Bernie Sanders because I can't stand you.
Well, did you see Rashida Tlaib this week was shouting about the fact that nobody wants to have sex with her? I mean, why do we need to be exposed to that? Even to be have to think about someone having sex with Rashida Tlaib. I mean, I'm having nightmares just from watching the video. She did look like she was going to foam at the mouth any second.
I'm going to get in so much trouble for this, so I'm going to say it anyway.
Do it,
Tlaib,
Joe.
have you met Katie Hill? I mean,
I haven't, but I've met the goat.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
We're done. But I mean, you see what I'm saying here? I'm serious. Oh God, no, I'm not going to do it. But anyway, so Tlaib, I mean, seriously, nobody wants to have sex with her. You're nasty. You're nasty.
Yeah.
Now remember, I'm saying you're ugly. You're nasty.
No.
You're nasty looking.
No.
You look like you just bit into an onion or something.
Yeah.
And nothing nice or soft ever comes out of your mouth. Well, why would anybody want to even stand next to you?
Yeah. She does look a bit like a bulldog, chewing a wasp, doesn't she? Let's face it. I mean, she's not, I'm not going to call her ugly because, I don't believe in that kind of thing. Everybody's beautiful. But she doesn't she's not a pinup, is she? Let's face it.
No. She's not even a drop in the bucket, if you know what I mean. Nothing. I just, look, here's the deal. You remember, you and I used to have fun with this kind of stuff where you were homophobic, or there's something wrong with you. If you didn't want to have sex, if you were a guy that was into women, but you wouldn't have sex with another guy, you were homophobic.
Yeah.
If you not have sex with a transgender, you were transphobic. Go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'll have sex with, what is it? If I don't want to have sex with a redhead, I'm redophobic. I mean, you guys are you're out of control.
They've pushed it to another continent, like they've pushed it to Narnia. Because as a gay man, if I won't have sex with someone who was born a woman but is now a man, I don't know how that is possible, by the way, because they wouldn't have the equipment, as it were. But that makes me homophobic as a gay man. So go figure,
I don't understand it. We're going to talk about something on my show, but we'll touch on it on yours if you don't mind. That female inmate that claimed that she was raped by the transgender inmate who was placed in the woman's prison. So here's a guy who's in jail for life for killing somebody, right? He's been in and out of jail a couple of times. He decides after being in prison with a bunch of guys, he's now a woman. All right? He tells the system that I identify as a female and you have to accommodate. They send him to a female inmate prison, all female. He rapes a woman in there several times. And now they're threatening her for, bringing it to light. And I'm saying to myself, wow. Here's what if you're really transgender, you're really a woman trapped in a male body, here's what we'll do for you since you're in for life. We'll have the operation done for you before we actually move you. How's that?
Yes. That should be the requirement, Joe, shouldn't it? Surely.
Let's see how fast it cures him or her or whatever.
Yeah. Let's see how many decibels his or her voice goes up by, because you never know what frame of reference you're supposed to use. We are running out of time, but tell us who you've got on your show tonight. You got 6 Pacific, don't you, till 9.
I can't remember what the heck is his name. Oh, Xander Gibb is joining me tonight.
He's great.
We start the party. Xander helps me start the party off every week. We do some really crazy topics. Brad Stein is supposed to join me too tonight. He's known as God's Comic, and he's really totally perplexed. He thinks it's a big comedy show on the left. They're really not serious. They're going to open up the curtain someday and say, "Just joking." Not going to happen. And we'll talk about the economy and such.
Absolutely. So you can check Joe out at therealside.com. And if you follow him on Facebook, you'll be able to find out the links to the shows. But you can actually follow it all from his website, all in one place, right, Joe?
Yep. Oh, yes. At therealside.com. I've learned from you. You're a good teacher.
Absolutely. One-stop shop. I will see you later, Joe, on your show. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a wonderful weekend. And I would be remiss not to say give my love to your fabulous wife, Tammy.
I will. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Yep.
That was the fabulous Joe Messina from The Real Side. And make sure Skype is giving me problems. Make sure you check him out at therealside.com. And my next guest is political commentator Dr. Gerard Lameiro, who joins us live now from the United States. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Lameiro. How is the world with you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day in Colorado, and happy to be on your program once again.
It's always a pleasure to have you. Now, you're mountain time, are you, in Colorado?
Right. It is. Right now, it's 4:40 Mountain Time. I am at about 5,000 feet, and I'm adjacent to the Rocky Mountains.
Wow.
And one of the mountains outside my window goes to 14,000 feet.
Wow. Wow. I don't recommend you climb it today. I really don't.
No.
So I want to jump right in because today Elizabeth Warren has retreated to her teepee and will probably blame sexism for demise, as Nancy Pelosi has, as a candidate, leaving two grumpy old men, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, and who has been at this point before and sold his nomination last time for a summer house. Now Bernie has a lot of baggage and appears to have, I apologize, Biden has a lot of baggage and appears to have some memory problems. I think I'm having the memory problems today. And he can't remember who he is or where he put the Ukrainian laundered money. Now, how does all of this translate to who the candidate will be, Dr. Lameiro?
Well, we have the situation where one other commentator recently said it's a choice between socialism and senility, and that's quite a choice. But I would go so far as to say, although I have not changed my official forecast because I'm waiting to see if the rules have changed and other factors that will influence the ultimate convention vote. But I would say there's a high probability that neither of these two gentlemen will actually get the nomination.
Right.
Bernie has a lot of problems because America, just as the UK has voted firmly and decisively against socialism in its own election,
right,
America has similar feelings when it comes to socialism. They don't want to take the risk of becoming another socialist experiment that fails, like Venezuela. Hugo Chavez sounded an awful lot like Bernie Sanders. He said, I'm a Democrat socialist.
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of everything, and I'm going to get lower prices and better products, and everything is going to be wonderful. And as soon as he got in office, he nationalized industry after industry and tore down that wonderful economy. It was an oil-rich economy, Venezuela, and they're really nothing more than a slum these days. It's really quite sad. And so a lot of people do not want to go down the road of socialism in America. So Bernie Sanders would likely lose big time. And a lot in the establishment Democratic Party, who've been running that party for decades, don't want to see the entire party destroyed with a socialist at the head of the ticket, who probably could easily call himself a communist as well as a socialist.
For sure.
And so Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, we confuse all these B names.
Yeah, that's just what happened to me.
We're always telling them. But Joe Biden somehow pulled off a victory on what we call Super Tuesday, March 3rd, where there are 14 states that vote. And he was able to do it, but I think it appears that the establishment Democratic Party rallied around him and made phone calls and did things to have certain people pull out of the race, and they did everything they could to thwart Bernie Sanders and try to keep it within the fold. I don't think anybody thinks that Joe Biden is a great potential candidate, but
No.
they just think that he's anybody but a socialist or communist like Bernie Sanders.
Right. But you have an extension on that theory with regards to Joe Biden, don't you?
Yes. I think there's quite a possibility possibility that they did this as sort of an emergency task, get somebody's name there who looks like he's ahead, and then sort of let the chips fall where they may, and we'll try to find another candidate and substitute that candidate at the last minute at the convention, because likely neither of the two candidates are going to have a majority to take the candidacy or the nomination on the first ballot. So then it goes to the second ballot, and on the second ballot, the superdelegates, those are the unpledged party loyalists and the party, sort of the rank and file leadership of the party all across the country that get to vote in case there's no winner on the first ballot. And these people clearly are part of the establishment, and I think they have another candidate in mind and will probably pull that person out in July.
So who is that candidate going to be? Because I have my theory of who it will probably be.
Well, the first one who came on my radar about 16 months ago. And I told people on air then, so they'll remember that I said it then, in which case if it turns out right, then I was ahead of the game for sure.
Right.
Michelle Obama was who I named at that time.
Really?
She had written a best-selling book. She sold 3 million copies of the book a month. That's incredible. I'd love to sell that many of my books.
Wow.
And
yes.
And usually people who are running for president, the first thing they do is write a book. And she wrote a book. And, they touted her here and there as being this wonderful person. She has no baggage. She doesn't really have any responsibility for the mistakes of Biden or Obama. Because she was sort of just the first lady who went to dinners and smiled at the appropriate photo opportunities. And she's a lawyer by trade, and she certainly fits in perfectly with Obama and the leftists and the socialists that are in her party. And I think there's a key reason why they might pick her. And let me tell you exactly why. Joe Biden won in South Carolina because he got 75% of Black American votes in that state. And he was able to decisively beat Bernie Sanders. But the irony is, while he's doing this and getting the nomination with the black vote against Bernie Sanders, it's the very black vote who's probably going to turn against the Democratic nominee.
Right.
In the actual election. And the reason I say that is, for decades, the black Americans would vote for whoever the Democrat was, regardless of his name. If he had a D letter after his name, he got voted for because they just felt so loyal to that party. And really, Trump challenged them in 2016 and say, they've been making promises to you for decades and you haven't gotten anything.
No.
What do you got to lose? Why don't you vote for me? So instead of getting a meager number of black voters, he got 8%. And that was significant enough to help him win.
Absolutely.
But it's gone up. Right now, the polls, which I think are not as accurate as my forecast model, the polls are showing that he might get 34% of all black Americans to vote for him because they're doing so well financially.
That's like 4 times as many as last time.
And my forecast says he'll get 42%. If he gets 42%, it doesn't matter who's running against him. He's going to win. That's a huge amount of votes that Republicans didn't used to get. And that's the reason I think Michelle is actually the Democrats' strongest candidate, potentially, because she's a black American. She might be able to save some of those black voters from swinging over to Trump in November.
But will that be enough? Would that be enough to save them, to win them the election?
Probably not, because it's going to have to be a big number. And not only that, but she'll lose a lot of other people. Because once again, the Democratic Party has gone so far to the left, they've lost a lot of their own constituency. And a lot of their people who have been in their party, their parents voted, it's almost a legacy, that some people, they say, well, their father voted for them and the
Right.
grandfather, and on, generation after generation. They stick with their family line, so to speak.
Right.
And so right now, though, a lot of those people are turning off, and they are just leaving the Democratic Party. Sometimes they don't even bother to re-register as a Republican or an independent. They just leave.
Absolutely.
And so I would say right now Trump is going to win re-election fairly easily. The case is, how close is it going to be? And probably the best shot for the Democrats is Michelle Obama, but Bernie Sanders is going to go down to bitter victory, and Joe Biden will do about the same.
Now, I'm surprised you said Michelle Obama, because I actually thought you were going to say, the kiss of death lady herself, Hillary Clinton. And that's who I thought you were going to say that they would kind of slide in at the last minute. But they wouldn't be so silly to make that mistake again, would they? And do you think she thinks that maybe they'll slide her in?
Well, I think she might think that.
Right.
And by the way, they might. They might try to. She has tremendous influence. And they have a tremendous political machine, and it's possible she would be probably the second guess, and the third guess might be someone by the name of John Kerry, who still thinks like he's Secretary of State by going to Iran and telling them, well, just wait until Trump gets out of office, then we can take care of you.
Yeah, for sure. But
so those are all possibilities. One other point I want to make about the data that's out there, and that is Barack Obama has never endorsed Joe Biden or anyone else.
That's interesting, isn't it?
That's an indication he's holding his endorsement for someone else, like possibly his wife.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I think it's a worry that I don't think that even the Democrats will be happy at someone else being slid in at the end if Biden wins the nomination. I think that will upset the apple cart for the Democrats, really, whoever it is.
Well, let me tell you, I predicted in 2015 the end of the Democratic Party. Parties do not last forever.
No.
The Whig Party was a fabulously successful party in the 1800s, and it's no longer in existence. We don't talk about Whigs. And the Democratic Party has been around quite some time, and they've gone so away from the popular electoral feelings of American voters that they have strayed too far off the ranch. And I think that they're about to shut down. And
right.
I said it back in 2015, and I think the date it's going to shut down is early 2021 after the results of this devastating election.
Right.
And by the way, you point out the possible problems about the nomination causing further stress in the party. Let me say that almost anything they do at this point is going to cause further stress. Because if Bernie gets nominated, there's going to be tremendous stress. People walking away from him. If he gets elected and brings down the whole party with him, that's going to be bad. If the other one, Joe Biden, gets it, and they lose badly, he runs another bad campaign similar to Hillary. He's liked about as much as Hillary Clinton, really. He's not liked that much at all. He puts people to sleep. I think they're also going to have a rift. It's almost anything they do at this point. They've dug the hole so deep, it's hard to come out of it.
I mean, they always talk about America as being a two-party system. So if after this next election, because I kind of think the Democrats are unelectable, even right now, who would take over from the Democrats, or would it just be a new group of Democrats that would rise up and maybe steer it in a different direction?
Neither
wow.
is the answer. You gave me two options, but there's a third, and the one that I think likely. And the third option is when the Democratic Party closes the door, takes the shingle off the door, it says Democratic Party, shuts down, locks the thing, and moves out. okay, there's a hole because this is a two-party country.
Right.
It's always been that way.
Yeah.
It works that way. I think what will happen is someone like Mitt Romney, a disavowed, never Trumper Republican, will go off with other friends, maybe even Mike Bloomberg, and start a new second party. And the new second party, I think, will be called something like the Progressive Party, but it won't be a socialist progressive party.
No.
It'll be sort of a welfare state kind of progressivism. They'll promote a lot of welfare state programs, but they're not going to attack the basic structure of the country. The Democratic Party, as currently running, is essentially attacking our Constitution and our way of government. They want a revolution. They say that. They say they want a transformation. But most Americans don't. Most Americans are fairly happy that we have a robust economy. We have new unemployment numbers. We got, I think, 300,000 new jobs this past month. We're at 3.5% unemployment, which is less than economists ever thought we could do. Black unemployment is the lowest it's been in the history of recorded numbers for that statistic.
Amazing.
Same thing for Asians, same thing for Latin, Hispanics, the same thing for women. This country is doing well, and it's hard for people. You know, I wrote something called The 10 Laws for Winning Presidential Elections about 30 years ago. I've been working on presidential elections for 40 years. And you know what? I said back 30 years ago that if you've got a good economy, an incumbent almost can't lose re-election.
Right.
Because most people vote their pocketbooks. And
For
if
sure.
they see their child gets a good job out of college, if they see that they can change jobs, if they see their neighbor buys a new boat or buys a new toy, expensive toy or motorcycle or something, they realize things are going good, and they don't want to mess with the Apple Cart. They don't want to, accidentally put somebody in there who doesn't know what they're doing. And socialism worries them even more.
Now, do you think that the fact that Donald Trump has been running the country like a business rather than kind of a social experiment is what has kind of brought this upgrade to people's lives?
I think essentially what it is Donald Trump is not ideological. He doesn't read books like Milton Friedman like I would, or Friedrich Hayek, the philosopher, like I would. He is, and certainly he's not a socialist. No, I think he's just a pragmatist. I think he's a common sense guy. You got a problem, what's the factors that create the problem, and let's solve them. I think that's the way he is, and that get the solution. That's good for business, and that's why he's probably a billionaire, because he was good at it in business, and that's why he's a good president. He sees a problem, he tries to solve it.
Absolutely, and I think he's done a particularly good job, because as you said, it is about results. But don't you feel that far more people who have associated as themselves being Democrats will just say, actually, this guy is not so bad, and I really would like more of the same. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, another signal that he's going to win re-election is the crowds he's turning out around the country. You know, he had huge crowds in 2016.
Right.
People really liked him, and they liked what he had to say. Right now, I had one report from Wisconsin, which is a bellwether battleground state, that he took last time by a few votes. They said that his most recent rally there in Wisconsin had about 10 times the number of people that it had in 2016. And another statistic, which is remarkable, is in his typical rally, they do demographics for every rally to see who's attending.
Right.
25% of the attendees are Democrats. Now, if you can get 25% of your opponent's constituency into your rally, that's incredible.
For
Nobody
sure.
does that.
For sure. I want to ask you a final question, Dr. Lameiro, because we are kind of coming to the end of our time together. The Democrats have made a conscious effort to kind of pull President Trump down. You know, they tried to impeach him on the flimsiest of commentary, and they also have maligned his response to the coronavirus. Do you think any of these things will affect Donald Trump winning in 2020?
No, not at all. And by the way, you know, back when we had the swine flu
Yep.
fear and that a few years ago, Obama was president.
Yep.
Obama didn't take any action until I think 1,000 people had
That's
died.
right.
Then he decided to spend some money, whereas Trump took action during the impeachment while everybody else was talking about the impeachment. He was working on this problem. No, I think he's done a great job.
Me
I think
too.
it's hard to keep ahead of him. I think his opponents can, and I don't think anything they try to do to attack him is taken seriously by most Americans. They
Absolutely.
just think it's negative politics.
And I know he watches the show, so we got your back, Mr. President. Final question. I'm holding up your book now, which is called Real World Socialism, Spiritual, Moral, and Economic Bankruptcy, Sold by Using False Hopes and Deceit. Tell people where they can buy your book.
Okay, they can buy this. The newest book just came out in January and started selling quite well. And that they can buy it at any Amazon, including in Great Britain or any other country
Absolutely.
in the continent or around the world. So Amazon has that book, and it has my other 5 books, too, that are in print. I have 5 other books in
You've
print
written
as
6
well.
books
And
in
they can also
total.
get it,
Wow.
they can get a Kindle and print. Kindle and print both.
Wow. Well, I salute you, Dr. Lameiro. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You're not only informative and interesting, but you usually laugh at my jokes too. Tell people where they can find you to find out more information about you.
Sure. My website is called Great News for America. That's all spelled out with words. GreatNewsForAmerica.com. There's something around 180 web pages on my website. I've got a lot of stuff on there. You can read for free. But then hopefully you'll like it so much you'll go out and buy all 6 of my books.
Absolutely. Go and buy them for your relatives and friends too. Thank you so much, Dr. Lameiro. All of his contact information is on the Xander Gibb show page for today. But for now, thank you so much, Dr. Gerard Lameiro. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
You're welcome.
That was the fabulous Dr. Gerard Lameiro. Make sure you go out and check his website and buy his book, Real World Socialism. I'm modeling it like I'm a QVC model. Make sure you check him out. Thank you to everyone who's made today's show possible. Thank you to my first guest, Joe Messina. Thanks to Gerard Lameiro. Thanks to Chet Martin from Freedom on Deck for calling in. Make sure you check his show on Sunday, 3 till 5 Eastern. And all of this information is on the Freedom on Deck page on Facebook or freedomondeck.com. I will be on their show on Sunday, and I will be on Joe's show later tonight, 6 Pacific, which is 9 Eastern. Thanks to all of you in the live feed. It always is a pleasure. I really do love you all. Stick around. Please click that share button. I know most of you are a little allergic to it, but please press that share button now. And I will see you next time. Have a safe weekend. And remember, the coronavirus is nothing to sniff at. I love you all. Bye-bye.
It has been good to me this time around. Things were the bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact, and I can find no rest.
Click the bell button and subscribe to keep up with the Xander Gibb Show. Oh yes, sirree.